In this use case demo video, I'm going to show you how to build something like a leadership program from scratch. So I'll open up a new project here, and I've got my company, academies, and we're creating a leadership program. I'm doing it in English, and I don't yet have a custom profile for this audience, so I'm going to choose no custom profile. We'll create. Now, luckily, starting this project, I've got some documentation that I can pull in for reference. So Tilda can draw on that to build up our brief, build up our plan, create our interventions, make sure that we're super aligned with what the organization needs from me while I'm building this. So I'm going to show you what I've got. I've got an email from the CHRO, which includes the metrics and some goals, some interview notes I did with target audience, leadership briefs. That's like a brief from my boss about what we need to build here, a bit of a learner needs analysis, and a stakeholder map so we know who's involved. So I'm going to upload inspiration for something new, pop all these files in, and Tilda will analyze them, and we'll see where we go from here, reviewing all the documents. I can see here that Tilda's understood what's in here. They outline the current challenges and opportunities, focusing on clarity, inclusion, and accountability among, this exact target audience. So first line and mid-level leaders. It's 120 in Sweden. Great. So Tilda's understood that. I am happy to draft the current state now. So if you remember, we will start to build out the brief here at the top. And then when it comes to creating the actual plan, the interventions, we build it down here. So I can continue to work through drafting these elements of the brief. Now, I'm pretty confident that Tilda's going to get this right because I uploaded quite a lot of information. But at any point, I'll show you what I can do. I can just start chatting with Tilda to give some specific input on some of these things. So I've added a constraint there, and Tilda will take that on board and pop it into the constraints element there. Let's keep working through. I really like using those dynamic buttons because they are different depending on the conversation you've had, the information you've uploaded, and the project that you're developing. So they're a really quick way to move faster through building a project out. But at any point, before Tilda puts anything on the board, you have this handshake with it. So you can choose to apply. You can preview it to get more detail on what's going to be added, what's going to be removed. There's nothing to remove here. And look, I can even select or deselect some of these if I don't want all of them. So say I just want this one, I want to add first line and mid-level leaders. I just apply that one change and then I'll add it into here. We can see if we dig into the brief, it should be in here somewhere. First line and mid-level leaders. There it is. So let's just create this theory of change, and then I think we're going to move to build a high-level flow. Okay, I like those suggestions, so I'm going to move them in. Again, I've accepted, and then Tilda's making a suggestion of what it's going to do, and then I can apply those to the board. So now I want to build this high-level flow. So let's, propose an intervention structure. It's proposing a kickoff event, some virtual training modules, because I did mention that we can only have one in person, live impact challenges, leadership modeling, feedback loop. I think let's move where that in-person event comes. So let's see what the suggestion is here. We've got virtual training modules, then an in-person event, and then some post-event feedback loops. Okay, let's stick that in, see where we get to. Nice, so we've got quite a simple initiative here, but obviously I can go through as I take this to my team, get some feedback from them. I can add more interventions just by clicking this button here. I want to add a new intervention. Say we've got, we want to build some kind of supportive content in our internal knowledge base. So it's understood, and yes, propose the intervention. Love that. Love this chatbot intervention. Okay, so I'm going to apply it, and I can just move where I want that to be. I think that should be a little bit more up front. Okay, so I've got a basic structure for my leadership program, and now I can start to build some finer detail into these interventions. Let's dig into this one because it's not your typical intervention. You know, normally we'd think about these in-person events or live events where we want to create some kind of step-by-step process, like a workshop process. You see here, it's a 4-hour in-person workshop for our target audience. So fairly standard to build something like a workshop, but let's see how Tilda handles building this AI chatbot for learning support. Let's see what it creates if I choose freeform. So freeform content we use if it's not a step-by-step process like a workshop or a meeting. Freeform content is where you can kind of draft, kick about ideas before you move into building implementation material. So we're just going to see what by default Tilda comes up with if I click create freeform. So it's given me an overview, objectives, key features, and actually implementation steps as well. So you can see it's taken what we had before from the high-level plan, and it's got this objective here, and it's got some key topics, and it's got a description, and then it has built out this kind of clear roadmap for how we actually create this. So we can chat with Tilda and ask maybe some more specifics of how we'd roll this out. Nice. So I've asked about how we could prototype this concept. It's saying define the scope. We can connect to other elements within Copilot's skill level. Create a basic chatbot experience in Teams. Okay. I think this is nice. I want to turn this into a brief. There's like a part of my team that experiments with these kinds of new AI technologies. So I want to build a brief for them. So it's going to take everything we've just talked about and build a creative brief for them. Yes, nice. So it's got the objective, target audience, key features, deliverables. And I could go in here, editing, of course, depending on, okay, maybe this is like week 1 to 3, whatever it is. I can save that. And of course, as always, chat with Tilda whenever I want to make updates or just kind of explore ideas with Tilda. And then if I want to export this to send to that team, just click export and it'll save it as a PDF. Final thing I want to show is the behavior change score. So you'll see this number here will change based on the interventions you create, what you add, what you remove. And it's out of 100, and it basically gives you an indication of how likely this initiative is to change behavior in your participants. So we're on a 23 at the moment. That is obviously a kind of small-ish impact, and I can see the impact indicators here for each of the interventions as well. And I haven't really put much work into thinking about how this could change behavior yet. So it's no surprise that we're at a 23. But I can look through seeing what interventions are more impactful than others. And I can either change the interventions individually, or there's this button here, Improve Initiative, that I can just click until it will give me some suggestions. It's also interesting to get a kind of justification from Tilda of why we have this score. So if I hit this button, my current score falls into the small category. To move towards a medium or large, I need to address high impact barriers enablers, such as leadership modeling or seamless integration. So let's explore some improvements to the score to try and make my entire initiative more impactful. I've said let's enhance current interventions. You can look at all the interventions, that's fine. And I think I'd like you to explore enhancements for all simultaneously. And boom, we've got a 7-point score increase there, which is pretty decent. This AI chatbot has gone to a large impact. And the other ones have kind of crept up as well. So we'll add that. Okay, that is pretty much kind of end-to-end building something like a leadership program, from uploading some documents, creating and refining a brief, building some interventions into a plan, and then creating some implementation materials as well. So good luck with that. Get stuck in. Reach out to the team if you have any specific questions about getting Tilda to help with your use case, whether that's a leadership program or something slightly different. Cheers.